Peace, salutations. We're here again. We're giving you an overview of the Deepwater Horizon blowout incident, also the incident in the Gulf of Aden, etc. An April 20th explosion on the rig killed 11 workers, set up the worst offshore oil spill in the U.S. history. Note April 20th, 2010 equals 4 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 equals 9. April the 4th month, 4 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 equals 9. 11 people were killed, so we see 911 here. We also see another connection in that Kenneth Feinberg, who ran the claim fund set up for victims of September 11, 2001 terrorist attack, said BP has paid out over $100 million so far. Various estimates place total claims so far as more than $600 million. Kenneth Feinberg has been tapped by the White House to run a $20 billion fund set up to help people harmed by the spill, pledged to speed payments. Let's try to get a big picture here. Look at the big picture here. Late on the night of April 20th, 50 miles from the shore of Louisiana, a fire broke out aboard the Transocean Deepwater Horizon oil rig under lease by British Petroleum. With 126 individuals on board, after a massive explosion, all but 11 of the crew managed to escape as the rig was consumed by fire, later collapsing and sinking into the Gulf. Safeguards set in place to automatically cap the oil well in case of catastrophe did not work as expected. And now an estimated 5,000 barrels, over 200,000 gallons of crude oil is pouring into the Gulf of Mexico every day, and could possibly continue to do so for months as complicated efforts are made to stop the leak. I have collected some pictures showing this thing as it develops, the situation along the Louisiana Gulf shore. They say that this has a potential to eclipse the 1989 Exxon Valdez oil spill in scope and damage. Note, Exxon Valdez oil spill was 1989. So if we do the numerology, 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 9 equals 27. We break it down, 2 plus 7 equals 9. Note the number 9 keeps surfacing here. There was 126 people aboard the Deepwater Horizon. 126 people. 1 plus 2 plus 6 equals 9. 11 dead. So we see 911. A similar kind of thing. Some people say that it's a conspiracy, but we'll get into that later. The oil platform burned for 36 hours after the massive explosion, then later sank into the Gulf of Mexico on Thursday, April 22nd, 2010. The U.S. Coast Guard said, and note, that after it sank, a plume of smoke like a signal went up. Notice, it burned for 36 hours. 3 plus 6 equals 9. Note that the elliptical orb ship Nibiru has a 3,600 year elliptical orbit. So the closer Nibiru get, we see these things happening. Note in the Gulf of Aden, where the black pirates from Somalia was capturing, they were actually hijacking, getting money there in the Gulf. Maybe they knew something. Maybe they knew there was a mystical force out there. Some people say that it's a gateway there. There's some anomalies happening there with gravity, like the Bermuda Triangle or something like this. There's all kind of theories surrounding this. So let's take a look at the symbol. Note that the Deepwater Horizon had an aircraft landing pad, which was an 8-sided geometrical figure. And even in the middle, uh, uh, note that 8 is a resonant number of Nibiru. And even in the middle, there was a circle inside of the 8-sided figure, and there was an H in there. And H is equivalent to the number 8. The rig was drilling, but it wasn't in production. It wasn't, producing oil for sending out. It was under the contract of BP. Original report says that the cause of the blast was unknown. Note that 911 and the Deepwater Horizon event involves money. What constitutes a Stargate? Note that it was 9 years ago, 2001, notice number 9. The Twin Towers stood as gateway to the future. Two Masonic structures like Joshin and Boaz, the two pillars standing before Solomon's temple, a gateway. 9 years later, just 2 years before 2012, the date the calendar ends, we witnessed the sinking of the Deepwater Horizon. This is known in ancient culture. What I'm doing is reading the handwritings on the walls of time. The ancient Maya culture, there was a priesthood of daykeepers, stargazers, etc., called the Chilam Balaam, who could interpret signs. Even if a rat ran through the building, they knew what that meant. Or they could tell you the meaning of this, divine it. Chilam Balaam translates to jaguar priest or interpreter jaguar. So in this day, as it was in the time of old, we're interpreting these events for you. Speaking of ancient priests, which we know to be the original Maya, i.e. the ones called Olmec, those who were obviously black. Our black scholars tell us that these men who left their faces carved in stone 50 yards from the seashore into the jungle, they say they traveled across the landmass, the frozen landmass, before the continental drift, which is hogwash. If you would read the Lost Book of Enki, you would read where Thoth, i.e. Tahuti, and his people traveled to Central America and set up the original Maya kingdom. Thoth was known as a plum serpent there, Quetzalcoatl. Yesterday, the first day of summer, I spoke with one of the Negro scholars on the subject and asked him why they did not teach the truth about the Olmec being Anunnaki. This is proof of the ignorance, the bias, and the buffoonery of our so-called Negro scholars. I call them Negro because they are buffoons, they are boule, i.e. servants of the king, if you get my point. Hold tight, this is part 2. I'm going to come right back, and I'm going to get more into our conversation I had with Dr. Roanoke Rashidi. And don't forget what we're talking about now, the oil spill and the Gulf of Aden and the Gulf of Mexico. Hold tight. We're going to tie all this together. It'll make sense to you. It'll give you, all the researchers out there, something else to think about. Hold tight. I'll be right back.